So what's up, everybody? Today, this is actually technically the third week of January. I started on the 1st, which was a Thursday. So we actually have an extra week that I will save the recap for that last week. So what I really want to do this week is to touch back on the topic for week 3, which was our expectations when we take accountability for our actions. So, of course, y'all, the first thing I want to do before we get into that is I want to reiterate that January is the month of taking accountability for our actions. This is the first step that we are taking in order to get ourselves in a position to be in a state of progression, to get out of stagnation mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so, week 1, we talked about what taking accountability means, what passive accountability is, and what active accountability is. And week 2, we talked about, let's see, that was our recap. And then week 3, okay? So week 3 was about our expectations when we take accountability for our actions. So a couple things I didn't get to touch on last time. I kind of missed in my excitement last week. So I want to talk about, again, how when we take accountability for our actions, our expectation is that others will too. And that is not always so. And majority of the time, that is not the case, okay? And even when we're in situations where people actually do take accountability for their actions, sometimes it's not enough, right? Sometimes a person will give you that apology, or they will admit what the role they played in the situation. And sometimes it's just not enough. And I've come to realize the reason why it's not enough is because the focus mainly needs to be on yourself, because there's self-work that needs to be done. And taking accountability, sometimes we expect there to be kind of like a big bang, like, oh, I'm taking accountability, now everything's going to change automatically. The atmosphere is going to change, my energy is going to change. Everything's going to be wonderful now, and I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to deal with anything else. And the truth of the matter is, there is no big bang. There is no automatic reset. That's why I'm here to help with the understanding that with there not being an automatic reset with anything for that matter, that everything is a process, okay? We have to be ready to take that journey and go through that process, even if we have to go at it alone, okay? So let's see. So even after taking accountability, our memories will resurface, right? So one of the things about us as human beings is we collect everything. We collect a lot of data. When we make mistakes, however, for some reason, we collect that data the most, okay? And so that's the stuff that sticks with us, that causes the tension in the body, the headaches, the worry, insomnia, those types of things, right? And so even though you have taken accountability at this point for all your actions, those memories will continue to resurface. Hold on just a second. So I'm back, and while those memories continue to resurface, it becomes a matter of how you deal with them, right? That matters at this point. So initially, when the memories of uncomfortable events start resurfacing, they can take us out of the moment that we're in, right? We could be all of a sudden out of reality and into this memory, refilling and re-experiencing something that we may not want to feel, or that we may not want to think about, right? And that we don't really want to address. But see, when it comes to taking accountability for your actions, when these memories come back up now, you will be trained in understanding where you are in your personal journey so that when the memories come back up, you can actually take a step back and look at it from a different perspective, and say, you know what, I'm done feeling like that, you know, um, because you will have visited, and understood and learned about the guilt and the shame associated with certain events, the guilt and the shame associated with certain decisions that you may have made, and even some of the energy associated with events that happen with other people, where you were carrying the weight of other people's decisions. You will realize now at this point in your journey that you no longer have to feel that way, right? Because you've been empowered to understand what it is that you're experiencing, what you're going through, and where you are and where you want to be and how to get there, okay? So, you can always expect for the memories to resurface. Eventually, what happens is you'll think about something and it'll be a distant memory. And yes, it will be annoying. There are memories that I still have now that I'm just like, it's annoying, but I do understand that I'm in the process of moving forward from certain experiences and thought processes. So all I can do is kind of look at my journey, where I started, what I've learned along the way, and where I am now. Even having the ability to say like, okay, you know, and sit with it and let it ride, let it float away. Even being able to do that today reminds me of the progression that I've made in this process. And everything that I'm talking to you all about are things that I actually did for myself, and through a lot of prayer. I believe some thoughts actually came, some resolutions actually came to me, and there was some therapy involved. And I would say it's self-therapy, because there were things that I wanted to know about and things that I was interested in learning about myself, and trying to find people who could relate to my experiences and how I was feeling and what I was going through, okay? So, my next point, and it's kind of piggybacking on training yourself. So this whole process is a training process. That's why you can't really put a time frame on it. I know I post videos once a week. Hopefully it's giving people things to think about, even if you only think about it for that night. Hopefully you can find some peace and some rest in your situations, right? And so this whole process and this way of thinking and changing your mind about things is a way of training yourself, like I said, so that in situations just like a memory resurfacing, you will be able to better deal with that memory, and you'll be able to feel better about it. You won't feel guilty about any of the feelings that you feel associated with any of your experiences. Because you realize now that that is not your guilt and shame to carry, right? So, along this journey too, you get to realize just how personal of a journey it is, right? You can talk to people and they can say journal, they can say, you know, write it down, they can say go outside and scream, and not that that advice is bad advice, but once you really dig deep and you start to really look inside, you start to realize just how personal of a journey this actually is, and just how you really need to be alone with your thoughts. Those same thoughts that you did not want to be alone with before, you'll realize, like, now I know why I was alone with those thoughts. A lot of stagnation comes from fighting certain feelings. Trust me, I know when it comes to traumatic experiences, it is extremely difficult to sit there and relive it and re-feel everything associated with that experience. But I will tell you that over time, if you're not pushing it away, you are empowering yourself to deal with it and actually to get that feeling away from you, right? To have control over it, okay? Everybody knows the more resistance that you give something, majority of the time, the stronger that something becomes. And that is definitely true for our not so good memories that we may have. And this can be daily, this can be hourly. All that matters is that you are on a journey to improving your mental health, improving your emotional health, and improving your spiritual health. And in turn, you will see everything in your life start to improve as well, because your perspective will become a more healthy perspective on life, okay? So I'm going to wrap this video up there. As always, I'm going to encourage you to maintain and, continue to have faith in your process. Be proud of yourself that you are here and that you're still listening and that you are still working toward that you that you want back and that you that you want to become. Okay? Because we want to become one. We want to heal ourselves, and then we want to meet ourselves in an area where now my child is healed, my current person is struggling but healing, and then my future person got it together. Okay? And so I want to thank everybody for being here today. As always, it's a pleasure. I appreciate you sticking with me. I appreciate you allowing me to take this journey with you. And until next time, next week I will give you a little hint about what next week is going to be about. Let's see here. Let's see. All right, so next week is really just going to be a recap of the whole month now, okay? And I will have some little extra tidbits there as well, because I don't want to be too redundant. Is too redundant a thing? Or is it just redundant? I don't know. I don't want to be too redundant, like I said. but yeah, so next week we're going to recap, and then I'm going to introduce what it is that we will be doing, starting to talk about for February, okay? And I have a couple extra things that I will be integrating. So can't wait to see you there. As always, I love you all. Bye.